Hamish joins us now from the Alice. Hamish, you attended that meeting last night as we saw emotions clearly running very, very high. What was it like?
It was tense, Waleed. I mean, this is a community that, no matter who you ask, acknowledges that something has gone terribly wrong, that there is a spike in crime, that no one quite seems to know how to respond to it or deal with it. I think most of the people that sort of work in the policy space say that the spike has occurred since those laws were allowed to lapse by the Northern Territory government, which effectively prohibited the sale of takeaway alcohol to certain community groups. That has had an impact, but it's not necessarily the kids on the streets late at night committing the violence that are here because they can now get alcohol. There's some suggestion that it's because community groups from remote communities are coming in to get the takeaway alcohol. That means that the kids come with them. There's not enough room in the town camp, so some of them end up in the CBD late at night. It's been pointed out to us by Indigenous elders here that there's free Wi-Fi in the CBD, so a lot of the young people go into the CBD so that they can sit on their phones and be connected. The causes of this are so complicated and the solutions equally so, but we saw the frustration of all of that come together, I suppose, in that convention centre, which was absolutely packed, and real frustration from some Arunta people saying, look, what you're talking about is racist. Others in the community saying, look, we care about the women and children. We want to understand why the children are out late at night on the street rather than at home with their families. And we're all familiar with these arguments, but we saw that in one space last night.
And in that space, Hamish, was there any clear direction to go forward with anything? I mean, you were speaking with members of the Indigenous community today. That's not a homogenous group, is it?
No, it's not. There are different views within the Indigenous community. There were different views at the town meeting last night. So there is no clear pathway forward. I think what is clear, there is no one in this town that seems to think that banning takeaway alcohol sales on Monday and Tuesdays is going to go anywhere near solving this problem. Some say it dates back to the intervention in 2007 under John Howard. Many in the Indigenous community say, well, it dates back way beyond that, when we were moved off our land and told that we had to conform to particular ways of life. The history of this, the context of all of it, affects different parts of the community in different ways. So when you have people in a room saying, look, clearly there's an issue here with young kids that means they're on the street at night. There's a reason why most of the ICU beds in the hospital are taken up by Indigenous women who have been subject to alcohol-related domestic violence. And we've got to look at how to deal with that. And then there are members of the community that say that they feel that those sorts of conversations lead to things like the intervention in 2007 or to things like the stolen generation. People have long memories of this, and so while we as the media might turn up for a week and tell the story briefly, these communities live with this their whole lives and through generations.
The PM has been copping a fair bit of criticism for his fly-in, fly-out visit. So what does the community think about that, Haim? Do they care?
I think people do feel anger towards politicians. I think there is a genuine sense amongst most quarters of feeling quite let down. Whether that's explicitly targeted at Albanese and his trip in and out last week, not so sure. But if you look at the data around this particular spike in crime, you can see that it is linked to when those laws were allowed to lapse by the NT government. And all of the leaders here, whether it's the mayor or the Indigenous health bodies, they say, look, we told the politicians. We sat down with them as these laws were about to lapse and when they did lapse, and we said this is going to be the outcome. So they do say this was preventable.
Hamish, thanks so much for your time tonight. Appreciate it.